Hi ho and welcome to Curtain Call, where I'll be talking about all things theatre. I'm James and this is my review of Romeo and Juliet at Shakespeare's Globe. Don't really have much to say before going to see the show. It is on my bucket list. This is actually something that I'm going to tick off. I've always wanted to see Romeo and Juliet at the Globe Theatre, which is exciting because when I was in school studying it, like everybody else, we went to see Midsummer's Night Dream, which I enjoyed, and then also Richard the Third. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, that I didn't enjoy that. That was boring. Both times I was stood up though, like in the pit, whilst this time I'm sat in one of the galleries, which is it will be pretty cool because I've been one of the rich people back in the day when Shakespeare was in his reign. Something I did actually see on the promos that the costumes are very modern. They're like I saw someone like wear like quite a modern shirt. So I don't know if that was just for the promos or actually for the performance. We'll get to see if that's the way it is. I would have thought it'd been more like traditional Elizabethan kind of costumes, but we'll get to see. But yeah, there's no interval. I believe there's no interval, so I won't be able to talk throughout in the middle of it. And yeah, I will see you after. I'm gonna do a full review later when I've got the time, but I've just finished the show now, and I really want to just express that's theatre at its finest. It was absolutely incredible, and I've never felt so gripped to a story before with live theatre. Even though I knew what were going to happen, like Romeo and Juliet's death, and Tybalt's death, etc. Everything was just such a shock, and like honestly, like I was shaking at one point. It was just superb. The feeling I've got now, that's why I love theatre. That is why I love theatre. It was using today's modern issues like suicide, depression, and bringing it to a legendary text like this. But, oh wow, it was breathtaking. That's the word I'm going to use for sure. But yeah, I'll do a proper review when I've got time. But yeah, I just wanted to say that now. Hey up, I'm back home now. I'm going to just jump in straight to the review because I did that miniature review after the show with my first initial reactions. Now, I touched on it before, where this performance of Romeo and Juliet was modernised, and which I, at first, was a bit like, I'm not sure about this, but like that was literally the first 2 minutes, but then after it, I'm like, great. And the reason because of that is at the beginning with the prologue, where two households in Verona, etc., the star-crossed lovers one, that Mercutio says, performed by Gillan. After he said it, he had about like a 2-3 second pause, and he was just looking around, and he just went, all right, and it would be like, oh, he's brought the fourth wall, he's speaking to us now. And I really like that because it really set the tone for the whole show. And after he said hello and like welcome to the show, he said, well, my name's Adam and I'm performing Mercutio. And then it went through all the performers, and I'm like, I've never seen that before. Well, I've probably seen it, but I can't remember a show that has done that. And I really liked it because it made you connect with the characters a bit more and like, connect to the story, which I really liked. And it was one of those where if it wasn't done, you might have been a bit confused, because before each scene on the screen there was a little message. For example, with Lord Capulet's outrage to Juliet where she doesn't want to marry Paris, just before that the nurse says emotional neglect is one of the biggest killers. and it really set the tone for that scene. It was just so gripping and intense and scary, because you were really feeling for Juliet, the nurse, and Lady Capulet, because Lord Capulet was on an absolute rampage, and you felt like you were going to hit one of them. And at the time, I wanted to jump on stage and just push him off, because it was that intense of acting. And another example is when the final scene where Romeo and Juliet commit suicide. Just before, Lord Capulet says suicide is one of the biggest killers for all people under the age of 35, and it just made you think of it more. I really hate this because there was no programme, but I've had to just go onto the website and like screenshot that's why I've got my phone here of the production team and all that, but there's nothing about the director or set design or anything like that. It's just the performers. So I do apologise, I can't give that person credit because I don't know who they are, and that's why I was a bit upset there were no programme, because I would love to see more of their work, because I thought the direction of this show was absolutely sublime. I'm going to go into the performers now. I'm not going to go through everyone because I'll be here all day. Lord Capulet, as I've mentioned before, performed by Silas Carson. He was fantastic. He didn't have a lot of stage time, but when he was on stage, you felt his presence, you felt his power. Romeo, performed by Alfred Enoch, and Juliet, Rebecca Murrell. I really liked the connection between the two. They had some really, really funny moments. Zoe West, Benvolio, and Serene Saber, the nurse. Thought they were brilliant. The nurse was the funniest character in the show. Also, Friar Lawrence, performed by Sargon Yelder. He performed the character very seriously, which I loved. Just one other person I really want to mention is Adam Gillan, Mercutio. Now, you might know him from Benidorm. He plays Liam, and I've never seen him before. And it was a bit of a shock because I didn't know who were performing in this. And I'm like, oh, it's Liam from Benidorm. Then I thought, oh, it's Liam from Benidorm, because I've only seen him as a funny character before, and I was a bit like, but wow, he was absolutely incredible. He performed Mercutio brilliantly. I just want to mention the musicians because I thought it was really clever and really cool to have live music. I remember from my previous times at the Globe that they have live musicians, but it really brought a sense of oomph and a bit oh yeah, that's nice. In Lord Capulet's party, they actually had a live band on the actual stage where some of the characters were singing along, it was a bit like karaoke in a way. Not to that standard though, it was very professional. It made it more entertaining, and also with the wedding scene, I've picked these up. These are little confetti pieces, and they were bubbles, and they were just flying all throughout the auditorium, and I was like, oh wow, that was a really magical moment where it was the wedding between Romeo and Juliet. And yeah, these confettis just came random. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take. I caught a couple. And I'm like, they're coming home with me. That's my souvenir. Like always, I'm gonna do my star performer. I touched on it before, and it's gonna be Adam Gillan as Mercutio. To say that I've only seen him on TV as a comedy character, I think him performing such a serious role was just amazing. I don't think I'll ever see him as a serious role again, and I think he did it sublimely. I think he just hit the nail on the head with performing Mercutio. I've not done this in my previous reviews, but I'm going to start doing them from now on, and that's the best scene of the show, and it's got to be the Lord Capulet's monologue, where he's basically terrifying Juliet into marrying Paris, because it was just, I don't know how to describe it, but it was just insane and intense and gripping, and I can't think of any more adjectives, but it was just theatre at its finest. And now coming into the final part of my review, and that's starring out of 5. I think this is going to be the easiest 5 out of 5 I'm ever going to give. I think you could guess I'm going to give it full marks as well. I don't know how else to describe it. I think I've used as many adjectives as I can in this review, so I do apologise for repeating myself. I'm glad I went to see it because it was on my bucket list, and exceed my expectations. I thought the direction was absolutely amazing. Not one actor was poor. All fantastic. And it's in the home of theatre. It's like of British theatre at least. And yeah, it was just incredible. But yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. So I'm James, and that's your curtain call.